This presentation is about demand-side management. I mentioned this topic briefly during my presentation of demand-side of resource adequacy. I will talk about it today in some more detail. The value of demand-side management is clear. It is clearest when we reach critical points of extreme heat and extreme cold, when our chances of demand outstripping supply is very real. Prolonged outages occurred in Montana last winter, as it did in other parts of the United States. So that's recent history. There were grave concerns that there might be serious energy shortfalls this summer. This was printed June 26th of this year. Headline: 2/3 of North America is at risk of energy shortfalls in high summer heat, NERC says. NERC is the North American Electricity Reliability Corporation, a non-for-profit international regulatory authority whose mission is to assure the effective and efficient reduction of risks to the reliability and security of the grid. Demand-side management is designed to encourage consumers to modify their level and pattern of electricity use. It is an important part of the solution in all energy demand sectors, including residential, commercial, industrial, and agricultural. In the 1970s, demand-side management was pretty much limited to encouraging people to keep thermostats in a reasonable range, wear warmer clothes and use blankets in winter, turn off and unplug non-essential lights, optimize insulation and other residential weatherization, and limit the use of appliances like washers and dryers to non-peak times of energy use. I was in high school at the time, and the need to turn off lights and weatherize my residence is deeply ingrained in me. The concept of demand-side management is based on the knowledge that energy demand varies based on time of day. Energy demand also varies by season and month. Energy demand varies based on geographic location. Again, demand response programs refers to balancing the demand on power grids by encouraging customers to shift electricity demand to times when electricity is more plentiful or other demand is lower. The encouragement version I talked about that's been going on since the 70s of demand management is, of course, still in place. The Texas grid operator ERCOT asked its customers several times this summer, including just last week, to conserve energy use from 7 to 10 p.m. in hopes of avoiding a crisis. Encouragement works. In the Houston Chronicle this morning, there was an article by one of their staff writers that said conservation may ultimately have played a part in helping the Texas grid make it through without the need for emergency conditions to be implemented. In a statement, Electricity Reliability Council of Texas spokesperson Trudy Weber said past conservation efforts have seen approximately 500 megawatts of demand reduced from the grid. Since the 1970s, demand-side management programs have become more sophisticated and include financial and other incentives for weatherizing homes and changing behavior. The most sophisticated forms include the use of smart meters. There are utility-owned and government programs available that help pay for improved insulation and other forms of improved weatherization that decrease energy demand. As part of the demand-side management, utilities companies offer cheaper rates if they charge up during non-peak demand times. So there are monetary incentives, but there is also enhanced notification of customers regarding trends in their bills, trends in weather, and so on. I find it useful to note that the various electricity demand of various appliances: heating and cooling 50%, water heater 12%, lighting on average 10%, TV, cable, computer, electronics 10%, refrigerator 8%, washer and dryer 5%, electric oven 3%, dishwasher 2%. I find that interesting. And here it is in a pie graph form. Office electricity use is similar to home use, proportionally more lighting and electronics, but overall pretty close to the same percentages. Then there's big industry, including data centers, which may use oil and coal in addition to electricity. The objectives of demand side management: saves energy and money, less need for new power generation, transmission, and distribution, and enhances customer service. Enhancing customer service is a newer objective for DSM and utilizes smart meters and other means of communication with customers. So DSM, is there a downside? Increased cost to utility companies means increased cost to ratepayers. Sophisticated DSM programs require the increased cost of smart meters and expensive upgrades of network infrastructure. Some are new physical structures needed. The more sophisticated the management gets, the more expensive, such as the cost of energy management control systems that select energy sources to power different loads according to period of energy demand. Most of the costs will be passed on to the customer, as any business has a right to do if this becomes standard of care. Other downsides for some people: requires continuous monitoring and managing energy use. There are actually terms used like managing appliance schedules. That's a phrase that's used. Some constituents have told me for years that they're wary of smart appliances and that they might be turned off from a distance, or maybe electricity turned off altogether, facilitated by smart meters. Is such concern warranted? Is there a risk of shut off or cut off from a distance? Colorado is a case in point. The headline: thousands of Xcel Energy Rewards customers were hot after losing control of thermostats. This event happened August 30th of last year. This was printed September 1st. Here's a quote from the article: voluntary participants in the company's AC Rewards program allow Xcel to control their smart home thermostats during hot summer days when demand for electricity and air conditioning is at a peak. Typically, program participants have the ability to opt out of control events at any time, according to an Xcel description on its website. On Tuesday, as temperatures rose into the lower 90s in the metro area, Xcel took complete control and locked thermostats because of an emergency situation. More than 22,000 Xcel AC Rewards customers were locked out of their smart thermostats. And this was not a controlled brownout or blackout. It was immediate. They were immediately cut off. Please keep this Colorado situation in mind when I talk about these things. I told you about managing your appliances, also flexible load constraints. This has to do with electric vehicles that only a percentage of those vehicles will be allowed to charge at certain times. I think there's a good chance that's already happening in California. Incentivized through dynamic pricing, in which electricity prices are higher during peak demand. So the prices are automatically higher. This is not something that you sign up for. It's something that happens, dynamic pricing. And then I talked about managing appliance schedules. In Montana, based on the University of Montana Merit Study, energy efficiency programs are driving demand down. So that's the good news. Even with IRA funding and others to incentivize business and home efficiency and demand response programs, Montanans don't tend to go along with such programs. In fact, Montana is one of the least cooperative states in the nation. Its population, that is. From constituents I have talked to, it is an issue of distrust in smart meters and outside control in general, concerned that what happened in Colorado could happen here, where voluntary becomes mandated and utility companies or the government take full control of their electricity. They call it voluntary, but it proved to be non-voluntary. When 22,000 customers were immediately shut off, they were not allowed to opt out of turning down their thermostats in the heat in Colorado. And there are many instances throughout histories across different countries where voluntary becomes mandatory. Montanans ask, when it comes to our time to exercise options, will we be allowed to opt in or out, or will Montana go the way of Colorado? You may have thoughts one way or another about this. Let your senators and representatives and the PSC hear your voice. Thank you.